Hello, welcome to yet another live stream from Wilder Ranch State Park. I'm gonna wait just a couple minutes for some people to start tuning in. All right, welcome Dan. So if you are tuning back in, this is kind of the second part of a two-part series on the machine shop here at Wilder Ranch. So if you'd like to just join right in, if you haven't seen the other one, that's fine. We're going to be focusing on different stuff, but I will be kind of elaborating back onto last week's content. So we're here at Wilder Ranch State Park today, and it is another beautiful sunny day. The trails, the update right now, trails are open. However, vehicle access is prohibited. So there's no parking in the parking lots or along the highway. So you're welcome to come access the park's trails if you come in on bike or if you walk or run into the park. However, beaches are closed from 11 till 5 p.m. So you're welcome to come out on the trails, but you won't be able to out on the beaches between 11 and 5. So if you are going to be visiting the park, then make sure that you're practicing all of our best safety guidelines which are available on the park website, and that includes wearing a mask, keeping your 6-foot distancing, not congregating in large groups, washing your hands, bringing hand sanitizer, and packing out your trash are all things that can continue to help keep this park safe and allow us to keep our gates open. So right now, I'm coming to you when we are in the machine shop, which is underneath the bunkhouse, all part of the historic complex here at Wilder Ranch. This building dates back to the mid-1800s, and it was rebuilt in the 1890s. So really cool historic structure. And before getting into the machine shop and how it works, I did want to give a quick land acknowledgement for the indigenous people that have lived here for thousands of years, stewarding and protecting this land. And they continue to shape our natural landscape today and how we protect it and steward it. So if you'd like to learn more about how that's being done today, you can check out the Alma Mutsun Tribal Council, on their website, Alma Mutsun Tribal Band, and there's more information on their website. So fast forward to the Wilders, and today we're going to be mostly talking about what the Pelton wheel allowed them to do. So last week we talked about how a Pelton wheel operates, the science of it, and also the history of the man who invented it, Lester Allen Pelton. Today we're going to jump ahead of that. We're going to talk more about what the Pelton wheel really allowed them to do. So primarily that's going to be the machinery that's here in the machine shop, and we're going to demonstrate a couple of those. And on top of that, it also allowed them to generate their own electricity, and that's the thing that really revolutionized this ranch and made it such a long-lasting successful dairy that was handed down 6 generations and successful for over 100 years. So what I want to talk about today then is just kind of show off some of the stuff in the shop. So right behind me here is the Pelton wheel. There it is. And I'm going to give a real quick recap, but if you want more details about how the Pelton wheel operates, please check out last week's video, which is posted on the Wilder Ranch Facebook page. And that goes into more depth. But D.D. Wilder he built a reservoir, and it gets streamed down through a narrow nozzle into this wheel here, rotates the wheel, which rotates these belts, which rotates everything in the shop. So what I'm going to do is I'll explain what I will show you. Hello, Gerlinda. Welcome. I'm going to explain what I'll show you, and then I'll actually demo it because it is loud, and I'm going to talk loud so you can hear me best you can when the wheel is operating, but I want to give you a little bit of the context before that. So just give you a little bit of a walking tour, and I'm on this funky tripod that's kind of bulky, but I'll try not to run into anything. So just showing a few things that are in the shop here. This is a lathe. So you can see here you've got, this would rotate, and then with a sharp tool you can actually shape it the way you would like to. Here we have a drill press. So it allows you kind of like a modern drill press. We'll demonstrate that. This is a stone grinder to sharpen your tools. This is actually a coffee grinder. Early mornings on the ranch. And the thing that just truly revolutionized operations here, that's electric dynamo generator here. And the end of our program, we're just going to be focusing on that and how that really changed things for the Wilders. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to turn on the wheel. I'm going to do a couple quick demos, and then we'll talk about electricity generation. All right, so this can be done pretty easily. And this is still the same way it worked back in the day. So you've got the reservoir. It's a little bit under a mile from here. Drops down just over 200 feet through a 7-inch pipe, and it's going to hit the wheel that's in this casing right here. So I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to try and talk loud, but I apologize if it's hard to hear me. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to check out the drill press. So there would have been 16 ranch hands living above us here, and these tools would have certainly made their jobs a lot easier. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just drill a new hole into this piece of wood right here. Now right now, the belt's spinning, but it's on what's called the idling belt. And we're simply going to move it over to the active. Using this stick here so I don't get my fingers caught. There were a lot of accidents in shops like this, you know, in that industrial era, industrial revolution, all these moving parts of machinery. And if you can imagine having, you know, probably not 16 all at the same time, but multiple people in here, what would be really key is communication, making sure you let everyone know when you're going to turn something on, making sure fingers are out of the way. So you can see here, it is drilling a nice hole in here. You can just imagine how much easier this would have made life. Okay. So there we go. Nice new hole. All right. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the stone grinder. And a similar story here as far as, here's down here. You've got your two belts. You just move it over from the idle to the active. And that's done right there. Now you can see it's rotating, the belt's rotating here. This is the side you would use. And you can just sharpen your tools right up on that. All right. I am going to turn off the water at this point. Power off. All right. So, really incredible that this still works the same way it did over 100 years ago. That's about as long as we ever really run it. The water, after it gets channeled through here, is piped down to underneath the cow barn, where it meets up with Wilder Creek. and it is still going through the original Adobe piping. So we try not to run it too long because it does get clogged up. So what I'd like to do now is talk about electric generation. All right. So behind me right here is an electric dynamo generator. And it's hard to really tell the story of electricity at Wilder Ranch without talking a little bit about Melvin Wilder. Melvin is D.D. Wilder's son, so well, it would have been the first generation to be born at Wilder Ranch. And you can see traces and things about Melvin kind of all over the park, because he was a really ingenuitive and an inventive person. And one of the things he added was this electric dynamo generator. So when they put this in, and we're not sure on the exact year, it would have been somewhere between 1892 and 1896. And remember, the Pelton wheel came in, it was available for sale in 1888, 1889. They first had it in the ranch here. So this would still be very new technology, and installation of this generator made the Wilder property the first rural property in Santa Cruz County to have electricity. So the original one that was used for power generation, this isn't original, but this isn't the first one that they used for generating power out here, is a Thomson Houston is the manufacturer. Thomson Houston is not a name we really know much today, but they were merged with General Electric. So financier J.P. Morgan merged those two companies, created that merger, and both of the original plants of General Electric and Houston Thomson are still being used by GE in Schenectady in New York. So that's the one that they had out here. And an electric dynamo generator works by basically you have these rotating coils. And the rotating coils are within a stable or constant magnetic field. So those rotating coils, known as the armature, are rotating within that constant magnetic field, which is created through something called a stator. And through induction, the rotation of those coils is going to cause the electrons to push in the metal, and an electric current is going to go through the wire. And that is quickly kind of how that works. And that would have been a direct current. So this would have been more common at that time than an alternating current generator. It was something that was easier to produce at that time. So Melvin, he puts this in, and it does a number of things for the ranch. It's 130 volts roughly that's producing. And they start out by putting in a stringed lighting system with 150 lights, so they really lit up the place. And Melvin, at a later point, upgraded that to 300 lights. So you kind of imagine we're out kind of on the frontier. There's nothing around here, and if you were to ride in on your horse and you see Wilder Ranch at night, you might think that there's actually a small town or something there, not just one person, one property. So they had electricity, obviously, for their homes. That was a wonderful luxury. But this did more than that. The electricity, also, they would have had another generator that would have powered their creamery. And they did some really innovative things with the electricity. And one of those became known as the artificial sunrise. And there's a San Francisco Chronicle article that details this, giving D.D. Wilder credit for this term. And the idea was you had this stadium lighting out by the cows, and a couple hours before sunrise you'd turn on all the lights, and the cows would believe that it's morning and would be induced into giving milk. So they give milk, You turn off the lights, the cows think the sun's gone down and it's another day, and then the sun actually comes out and they're going to give milk again. And it's not going to be twice as much milk because that's not how cows work, but you would get more than you would out of just the natural sunrise. So we are in Santa Cruz, and even over 100 years ago, we definitely had our animal lovers in town, and there were people who accused D.D. Wilder of abusing his animals because of this, which he kind of just laughed off. But just kind of cool little story about that. And the other things they were using, so they, a little bit later on for the Wilders, up into the 20s, 30s, they were breeding horses. They would have rodeos out here. And kind of along the rodeo circuit, this was a big stop, big place to stop, largely because it was the only place you could practice at night, as they had lighting. So this is the modern state-of-the-art rodeo arena at its time. Then the other thing kind of that goes into the electricity generation is the smart house. So Melvin Wilder lived in 1897 built Victorian home, and which is still on the property here. And it was built for Melvin. It was a deal by their dad to build the house and give his son and his new wife this as a wedding gift, as an enticement to stay and run the ranch. Now, Melvin had already gone off to Stanford, studied electrical engineering, and he had a lot of options for him out in the world, but his dad really wanted him to stay here and run the ranch, and that was kind of the enticement, was this house. So in this house, and he did live here, and he had his kids here and his grandkids here, and so D.D. Wilder got just what he wanted. But Melvin installed a lot of kind of cool electric gadgets and things into his home. Some of those would be, they had an electric fan in the kitchen that would bring out all the smoke. They had electric heating. They would have had, they hooked up generator to power the sewing machine. They hooked up a generator and they were using it for, they had lights inside of the closets, like automatic lights. So you open the door and it just releases a little button and then the lights turn on. Common today, but would have been a novelty back then. And another one that Melvin installed that was kind of like actually a gift to his wife was this headboard light switch, which actually, it was an igniter that would have powered gas lamps. So you press the switch from your bed and the lights turn on, and you would have had to turn them off yourself, but that was kind of just a nice little touch that he put on his house. So all these, like, you know, kind of cool amenities that would have made just life that much easier for them out here. But what it really came to was powering that machinery that was in the creamery that would have allowed them to create this really uniform and high quality products that were really sought after. So through this electric generation, this ranch really came to life and allowed it to be so successful and allowed it to be built up to what it is today, and something that is now worth preserving, and that we all get to enjoy and kind of check out some of this stuff that still works, or at least we can still talk about how it used to work. So that's a little bit about electric generation here at the ranch and what it really did for the Wilders. So that's all I have for you today. If you'd like, you can tune in again next week. We'll have another live stream. We'll have baking in the morning, or at 1 p.m. And then we're going to go and talk a little bit more about another Wilder first. And the Wilders really were a family of firsts. And that's going to be we're going to take a look into the garage they built, as the Wilders were the first family in Santa Cruz to have a gasoline-powered automobile. So we'll take a look in there. Until then, I hope you all have a great day. Happy Mother's Day to the moms out there, and hope to see you for another live stream.